That's right, we're back, folks. We are live, and today we're going to take a look at some ancient woo. So get ready, hold on tight. Gobekli Tepe is coming at you. Yes, we are back. We're live again. I know, again, it's like Groundhog Day. But I took a little day off the live streaming yesterday. I missed you all, but we had a good show yesterday on KBS. We had Don Wiskin, and then we talked about John Keel's book, Our Haunted Planet. Now, some of the feedback I got from that, some people loved it. Some people, yeah, I enjoyed doing it. But it's really important that I tap into what you people out there enjoy as well. So we'll see. We may go back to that book at some point. I think there are a lot of things in there that are definitely eye-opening, raises a lot of questions. And for me, John Keel, God rest his soul, definitely one of the people that made it easier for people like me to come in the future and talk about all the woo that we talk about today. You know, John Keel, he was doing it before the internet. You had to actually drive to locations. Imagine it, you had to actually speak to people. You had to go face to face to interview people, as opposed to how easy we have it today. And we do have it easy-ish, I suppose. But I want to welcome everyone into what is going to be hopefully a really fun stream, but good information in there as well, because we're going to be taking a look at something one of our friends sent us. And that is Karen. We often refer to Karen and the family as the Gherkins. And they sent me this story the other day. They know I'm into Gobekli Tepe, so I saved it in a folder. We'll take a look at that today. We'll take a look at some more Gobekli Tepe information. I've got some fun stuff as well to take a look at. And hopefully, all things going well, touch wood, Scotty Lopez will be joining me live on KBS, the main show, from 10 p.m. in the UK, and that's 5 p.m. on the East Coast and 2 p.m. on the West Coast. And the numbers are going to be low in here today because I'm a victim. I'm a victim of shouting out other channels. No, I'm only joking. But my good friend Doc McCairn is live right now. So listen, no hard feelings here. If you want to go and listen to the Doc, I am absolutely encourage everyone to check out the Doc at least once to see what he's got to say. And if you're like me, you'll keep going back for more. And I've seen Bet over there. It was good to see you in there. I think we've seen Bernays in there as well. A lot of crossover between KBS, the two Kevs, and Doc McCairn. And that's a good thing, if you ask me. We deal with the kind of very algorithm-friendly woo-type topics over there. But if you want to get down and dirty in the trenches with McCairn, he is live right now. And he needs all the support he needs as he continues to fight the good fight. So let me head into the chat room and ZX, I'm glad you're first in the chat today because ZX81 version 2, I don't know what happened to version 1, hope he's okay, but version 2 had a major calamity. It was a crisis. In fact, I felt a disturbance in the force earlier today and I couldn't put my finger on what it was until I spoke to ZX. Yes, his C drive, his Windows absolutely corrupted itself, and he wants all of you people out there to pay heed to what's happened to him, because he's had a nightmare getting passwords, getting signed back in, doing all the things that we're used to doing when we go to our computer every day. So remember to back up things, even on, dare I say it, bits of paper. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, hang on a minute. Now, wait a minute. Where did my little Australian friend go?
Thanks for making my day brighter.
Well, our little Australian friend, it must take some time to get to Down Under for her to shout that out. But thank you very, very much, Jocelyn. Thank you very much indeed. Every penny helps at the moment. And if you do want to help out with the PPP fund, the PayPal is in the description. But moving on, because we don't waste time with that around here, I'm very, very grateful to all of the members on the channel that help us keep going as we do what we do. And if you want to consider becoming a member, you don't have to. We do it all here anyway. You can click on the join button down below, but no obligation, no pressure. Back to the chat room. We've got the Wookiee in there. Jocelyn, again, Alaska. Thank you, Jocelyn. We've got Shawnee and Polynation, PPP fam. Good man. Not for all of us. Look how white my eyes are today. It's terrible. We have got Horatius. Brilliant name. I hope that's your real name. I've never met a Horatius in real life. I think that's a brilliant name. I actually considered it for all of like 10 seconds when Anne was pregnant. I don't even think I got the full Horatius out before she went to slap me and said that's ridiculous. I don't know. It's not exactly one of your modern names, but I thought it'd be pretty cool. I'm a bit weird, folks. What can I say? We have also got in there Nothing As It Seems. Ain't that the truth? Jennifer, good to see you. Back up all passwords, says ZX81. So with that said, we'll get that out of the way. We've got 28 now. That's more than I was actually expecting. Jungle Hip has just come into the chat room. I'm not going to miss you out, Jungle Hip. But Gobekli Tepe. What can we say about this place? Turkey, right? I remember the first time I seen this amazing archaeological dig and some of the stonework, some of the T-squares or the kind of the plinths, I don't know what you would call them, that are kind of covered in what appears to be different animals. We've got people on there. We've got the handbag thing that we've talked about before. And what always strikes me about Gobekli Tepe, and we're going to look at it in a moment, is the fact that we've only excavated so very, very little of it. And what we do see, it's game-changing, because we're going back about 11,500 years. And that's a big problem. Big problem, right? It's like an archaeological enigma, at least for mainstream archaeologists. You know, there's a lot of people out there, Robert Schott, Robert Boval, Graham Hancock, to name but a few, who date the pyramids, and the Sphinx has been a lot older than what the academics tell us. So it's all in roughly the same region of the world. What's going on there? Well, let's take a look, because the article that I was sent, it talks about, yes, it's an ancient monument, but probably more importantly than that, and this is something we talk about all the time, it's more than likely evidence of a lost civilization. We talk about the dynastic era from Egypt. That takes us back, what, about 4,000 or 5,000 years? And then you go back another 6,000 years and you've got this thing going on. Only that's a problem, right? because we weren't meant to be doing things like that 11,500 years ago, according to the textbooks. So let's take a look at 10 reasons why Gobekli Tepe is a lost civilization and not, it should be not just an ancient monument, because it is an ancient monument. You can't say it's not an ancient monument, right? But we'll come down here, we'll get into it. So it says there is enough evidence to suggest that Gobekli Tepe was not just an ancient site, but the remnant of a long lost ancient civilization absent from history. Now, we often talk about how, or at least I often speculate, I wonder as to just how many lost civilizations are out there. We're going back 11 to 13,000 years here. I just seen 13,000 there. But what if we go back another 11 or 12,000 years before that? And then another 12,000 years before that, to really tie it into that 12,000 year cycle that we've heard talked about by people like suspicious observers. And bear in mind that 12,000 year cycle where we appear to go through great planetary changes and upheaval, we're right in the window of time for something like that to be happening again. And I have to say, I wonder how much of that plays into how crazy the world is getting right now. You know, we've got Gobekli Tepe to look at. And unfortunately, it's hard to tell what was happening in the build-up to that cataclysm that wiped everything out then. We don't know if people were literally losing their minds as the magnetic field of the planet started to wane, started to move around. What effect does it have on a population? And when you're living in a world now with 7.5 billion people, okay, what effect does all of this have on all of these people? And what effect do all of these people have on reality? It's all good mind woo, get your neural pathways firing. A lot of questions, not many answers, because I always encourage you to think for yourself. Many parts of the mainstream media get criticised rightly because they tell people what to think and what's happening in the world, and nobody questions it. They just take it for granted. Well, unfortunately, alternative media, although it started out well, most of that has become the same now. They don't want you to ask questions. Many of them don't want you to see the links that they're using because most of the time there is no link. And they won't tell you when they're speculating. They'll just tell you how it is. And if you don't agree with them, well, they'll ban you. They'll kick you out because they can't have dissenting voices. They can't dare have people putting out alternative ideas. And that's why for me, I'm just Kev Baker, not alternative media. I've got a show on a network, fair enough, but I'm just me. I'm doing my own thing. I'm not part of any group. I don't want to put any label on me because I'm unique, as are all of you, and I treat you as unique individuals. And I like to think that you can think for yourself, and I like to think that you'll help educate me because I ain't the sharpest tool in the box. Oh, a long way from it. So let's get into it, all right? In present day Anatolia, Turkey, lay the remnants of the oldest megalithic site on Earth. Just think about that. Just think about that. Believed to have been constructed some 13,000 years ago by a mysterious people, the ancient site identified as Gobekli Tepe is shrouded in mystery for more than one reason. It is one of the most enigmatic sites on the planet, and it doesn't fit anywhere within the historical timeline set forth by present historians. This is because there is nothing like it out there. Not that we know of yet. Bear in mind we uncovered Gobekli Tepe. Yeah, they covered it up for some reason. It's almost as if they wanted to preserve that site for the next cycle. I wonder what secrets it contains, if only we had the eyes to see. So it says Gobekli Tepe is so old that it should not even exist, according to the mainstream. Experts maintain that a massive site, which has only been excavated around 5% to date, so I often say 10%, and I'm obviously been quite generous with that. So 5%, you know, if that's 5% of something, Just multiply that by 20 to get an idea of the complex and the size of this place. Was built by uncivilized group of people, most likely hunter-gatherers who seem to have an exquisite level of knowledge when it comes to working stone. Yes, indeed, work that one out. But was it really? To find out, we must turn to our history books to the year 1994, when German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt discovered the massive complex buried beneath the surface. Now, although officially discovered and catalogued in 1994, the site was found by American archaeologists in the 60s. Back then, however, not much importance was given to the site because experts thought that the sections of the site that were protruding from the surface were no more than tombstones dating back to the time of the Byzantine Empire. The site was eventually left unexplored until Schmidt came along some 30 years later. Unlike his American colleagues, Schmidt knew that the site was far older than what archaeologists initially thought. Upon seeing the stone fragments, now the surface features of Gobekli Tepe led Schmidt to quickly deduce that this was a prehistoric site and not medieval as previously thought. With each exploration, the importance of the site was further revealed, further. That old dyslexia kicking in there. Strangely, for hundreds of years, the site's importance was unnoticed. The hill that makes up the site had been cultivated for generations, and the local inhabitants had removed some of the rocks, piling them in heaps to clear the fields. This is a shame, since many archaeological pieces of evidence have been destroyed during this process. So think about what we lost during that. Think of the potential evidence, the potential archaeology there that we could have studied and perhaps got more answers to the questions we all have. So after decades of explorations and excavations, archaeologists say that around 5% of the site has been excavated. Now, although most of it remains underground, experts have categorized the ancient site as the oldest temple on Earth, while others suggest it may have been an astronomical observatory. I beg to differ. And that's the author of the article there, and I must admit, I agree. Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jocelyn. And no doubt our Australian friend will pipe in a minute. And we'll hear her when she comes in. But thank you very much, Jocelyn. Thank you. So the complexity of the site is massive.
Just for you.
Just for you as well. It's quite nice here in an Australian accent saying just for you. And its intricate features tell a more fabulous story, one that experts have missed to this date. So it gets into Gobekli Tepe, civilization or hunter-gatherers. I would ask the audience, but I would imagine most of you are on the same page as civilization as opposed to hunter-gatherers. But we'll see. Mainstream experts argue that it's impossible that 12,000 years ago, complex societies existed near the border between present-day Turkey and Syria. How arrogant to say that it's impossible that it was 12,000 years old. Surely it'd be more logical to say, oh boy, we've got a 12,000-year-old complex here. We've got evidence of a civilization or some people from somewhere building this thing. Maybe we've got our timeline wrong. No. That's not how it rolls. No, of course, it's Gobekli Tepe that's wrong. Their timeline's correct. It's ridiculous, right? The mainstream narrative explains that civilization as we know it did not exist at this time in history. Well, I would suggest your history is wrong. I'm just saying. Gobekli Tepe's existence is an obvious indicator that this is not so. The sheer size of the site tells us that hunter-gatherers were unlikely the site's founders. So the world's oldest megalithic site, the complex of Gobekli Tepe, has a secret to tell. How likely is it that between 12,000 and 13,000 years ago, a small group of hunter-gatherers decided to erect a supermassive site in the foothills of the Taurus Mountains? Very unlikely if you carefully insect less than 5% of the site excavated to this date. Now, the builders of the site, which I believed were an advanced society, part of a long-lost civilization missing from our history books, had the ability not only to quarry massive stones, the heaviest of which have been estimated at around 50 tons. Not only did this civilization have the ability to quarry stones, but they also possessed the means to transport the massive material to the site where the structures were raised. Schmidt himself has claimed that, quote, the work of quarrying, transporting, and erecting tons of heavy, monolithic, and almost universally well-prepared limestone pillars was not within the capability of a few people. I think that's pretty obvious. I would say that's a no-brainer, right? Would you agree? What do you think, Troops? Do you agree? I mean, I think it's outrageous to think it was just a small group of megalithic or hunter-gatherers, but again, I could be wrong. Unorganized hunter-gatherers or groups of hunter-gatherers would not have needed to build such a site, nor would they have been motivated in the first place. If this were the case, why are we not seeing similar supermassive structures erected around the world, built by hunter-gatherers? Why? Because hunter-gatherers did not build it. Karen agrees, and then some. Absolutely, Karen, and thank you so much for this. It's a website I had no idea about, so I would never have found this. Göbekli Tepe predates the Egyptian pyramids by several thousand years. We know that the civilization that built the pyramids was a complex society, developed and skilled, backed by a flourishing economy and ample availability of raw materials. The ancient Egyptians used multi-ton stones to build the pyramids, and although how these amazing structures were built remains a profound mystery, we can propose several theories on how they made it possible. Göbekli Tepe, however, is shrouded in mystery even further. Several thousand years before the ancient Egyptians, the mysterious society that erected Göbekli Tepe developed the technology to quarry, transport, and position supermassive stones. Now, most of the stones used in the construction of the site weigh around 10 tons on average, and analysis of the site suggests that there are a total of 20 circles, within which lie hundreds of stone pillars. However, only 4 of these circles have been excavated to date. You know, let me think of this, or let us all think about this. I have often wondered, I'm not making any hard claim here, I'm not telling you this is the case, but there's often been people questioning the age of the pyramids, and I know I've been part of many a conversation where myself or others have wondered, speculated, as to whether the Egyptians themselves may have excavated the pyramids, as in they come from a far earlier time. Now, if we take that, just that idea, could it be that we're talking about the same civilization that built Göbekli Tepe, had a hand in building the pyramids and the Sphinx at a far earlier date than what we know? One for you to ponder, folks. One for you to ponder. So if we come down here, hundreds of people. Big shout out to Anna. Good to see you, Anna. Inish Manon. I like that name as well. Burning Man site for hunter-gatherers with greater knowledge and constellation than the later so-called civilized people. A great party shamanic worshipping place. I like that. So it says it is nearly impossible to get an idea of the amount of labour necessary to build such a complex and massive site. Archaeologists estimate that it took more than 500 people. How do they work this out? Because they also at one point said that they thought it was hunter-gatherers that done this. Just a couple of them, threw it together. Must have been a quiet day hunting. So what we're going to do? You know what we'll do? And in fact, they were grunting to each other. There was no language. They were banging bones off each other and fighting and rolling around and wearing loincloths and scratching each other. And how ridiculous is that? It's ridiculous. I don't know about this 500 people thing. Archaeologists estimate that it took more than 500 people to extract the stones ranging of between 10 and 20 tons, although some weigh more than 50, from local quarries and move them between the quarries and the construction site. Were hunter-gatherers really capable of organising such massive workforce some 13,000 years ago? And if so, what motivated them to do this? Some experts argue that slaves may have been used to complete its construction, but there is no evidence to support that theory to date. So it's all right for experts to argue that slaves may have been involved, even though they admit there's absolutely no evidence to support that. But because they're experts, that's okay. They get away with that. They can speculate without anything to back it up. So that's why it's okay for us, you see. You see, my pseudoscience stands us in good stead, ladies and gents. It does. That's right, I am a qualified pseudoscientist. I specialise in quantum woo, which, if you think about it, means absolutely nothing. And it's great, and you can just give yourself the title pseudoscientist. I'm probably the only guy in the world that actually enjoys calling himself a pseudoscientist, but hey, that's how I am. So planning, engineering, and a sense of architecture. You do not build a site the size of Gobekli Tepe randomly. To build something of such proportions requires planning. It requires practice and a sense of architecture and engineering. The incredible size of Gobekli Tepe is evidence that its builders had knowledge, advanced knowledge of planning, engineering, and a refined sense of architecture and art. And Zadok, good one, I see that there. Fallen angels built it. Could well be. Could well be. The site was not randomly built, but all of its pillars and circles follow a pattern that reveals the complexity of the site. The workmanship present at the site suggests that its builders were a society well versed in various sciences, including geometry and even perhaps mathematics, predating metallurgy and writing. These structures at Göbekli Tepe do not only predate the invention of ceramics, metallurgy, writing, or the wheel, but were erected before the so-called Neolithic Revolution. In other words, the construction of Göbekli Tepe implies an organisation at a level of complexity not associated, until now, with Neolithic societies. Jennifer says that's true. Ramesses the Great had a son that excavated the Great Pyramid. We have evidence. Apparently, the pyramids were already thousands of years old by the time Ramesses ruled, according to Professor Bob Breyer. I'll write that name down. I've not heard of that one. I might have, but I'll check them out. That would explain why the pyramids got steadily worse with time. Does that make sense? If they excavated the Great Pyramid site, could it be that they were trying to reconstruct that when they were building things like the step pyramid, that failed pyramid that just looks like an abomination? And then all the pyramids that come in the dynasties after that, they get steadily worse. How does that happen? That suggests that there's been a loss of knowledge along the way. Or in fact, perhaps they didn't even know who put them there in the first place. But they were trying to recreate it, trying to pay homage to whoever was given credit for building them at that time. So I don't know if Jennifer, if you know who Bob Breyer actually says the original builders were, but it'd be interesting to know. So it says, This leads us to question whether ordinary hunter-gatherers who did not possess knowledge... Oh, 33. Oh, 33 watching, folks. We're talking about builders, master builders. Tell you, the Masons, anyone? It's not the Masons. Don't blame the Masons. I don't think they were about then. I'll have to ask my stepdad. He would know. So, who did not possess knowledge of writing and therefore planning could have erected such a complex site. Big shout out to Donnie in the chat room. So it says the complexity of Gobekli Tepe was confirmed in a 2020 study that demonstrated that its builders had a profound knowledge of applied geometry. The study published in the Cambridge Archaeological... I thought that said Cambridge Analytica. I was going to say, oh, not them again. Cambridge Archaeological Journal reveals that Gobekli Tepe was far more advanced than originally thought, and that its construction required much more complex planning and resources than previously estimated. Now, as explained earlier, the planning required to construct Gobekli Tepe was unlike anything seen in that part of history. Researchers have demonstrated that Gobekli Tepe's circles were not built individually, but built individually and randomly, but were planned as a single unit and were constructed simultaneously. One of the researchers of the study revealed that, quote, the initial discovery of the site was a big surprise, and we are now showing that its construction was even more complex than we thought. Gobekli Tepe is a true geometric wonder, one that was not built by ordinary hunter-gatherers. The Stonehenge and Gobekli Tepe connection. Ooh. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, we're going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to have a little drink of coffee. I'm going to get the lungs full again, and then we'll go again and we'll get into the rest of this one. But we've also got an article about the immense history or mystery of Gobekli Tepe. And I've also got new information about potential new sites around that location in Turkey. So go grab yourself a coffee, ladies and gentlemen, and I will be right back to keep you entertained while I'm away. Have some of this. You see, we weren't that long, just a couple of minutes, that's all. Nothing too bad. We've got, and somebody in there had said something, I've seen it. Nothing as it seems. Australian Stonehenge predates Salisbury Plain. Most likely, most definitely. I was watching a very interesting, it was mind-blowing. I haven't got a word to describe how good it was. Dr. Charles Koss. Let me bring up his website. Now, I've got some bad news. Bad news. Let me just find this. If that's it. I know you can't see it yet, folks. I'm just making sure I'm on the right page. Yeah. So over here, Dr. Charles Koss. I'd never heard of this guy before. I class him as being right up there after watching just a few of his presentations now. And the bad news I have is that myself and Charles have been in touch. I was hoping he was going to come on the show. He was very impressed by what we're doing here, working with Stephen and Evan Strong as well. Very nice guy, lovely guy. And he was explaining to me he'd love to come on, but right now he's kind of taking a break from the whole YouTubing thing. He's got a YouTube channel. We'll take a look at that in a moment too. But he's actually doing a diploma right now. So I'm going to ask him if I can have permission to maybe play some of his content on upcoming streams. Because if we come over to, let's see. Okay, that's going to be one of my graphic things you see flying up. Charles Koss. Here's his website channel here, and I'm on my backup channel. I'm subscribed on the main channel, folks, but he's not actually doing any work at the moment. D Light says Koss is really, really good. Absolutely. I'm going to put his link in the chat room there. That's for Charles' website. Now, like I say, he's not doing many updates now. All right, hang on. He done one 4 days ago. Damn you. But he says he's working on his diploma, so he's not really doing shows and things like that. There he is there with Evan and Stephen Strong as well. And this guy does a lot of stuff about the megalithic sites down in Australia. He done a 2-hour presentation when he was on Our Alien Ancestry. And in my opinion, he stole the show. Absolutely mind-blowing. I think Donnie might have seen that. I think Luna too, possibly. But really, really great guy. I can't recommend his stuff enough. I really can't. There's so much on there as well, folks. So please check that out. But yeah, to get back to what you were saying, absolutely, the Australian Stonehenge, and not many people know about that. Not enough people know about that. Quite interesting when you think about it, how hard they try to cover up the evidence of ancient civilizations, not just in Australia, but around the world, right? And it makes you wonder when you're looking at vast swathes of landscape anywhere in the world, what lies just a number of meters below the surface? What evidence is there that would add to this picture that we're making of a world that's been through many, many cycles? And Gobekli Tepe, that might just be the most recent cycle. What was happening 12,000 years before that? And keep going back every 12,000 years from there. It's weird, it's wacky, it's wonderful. That's what we get into here on KBS2. And I tell you what, can't get enough of it. So, it says here, perhaps one of the most fascinating telltale signs that back up the theory of Göbekli Tepe as a civilization are the results of a scientific paper published in the journal Nature, Ecology and Evolution. The researchers offer conclusive evidence that the ancestors of the builders of Stonehenge originated from present-day Anatolia in Turkey, the region where Göbekli Tepe stands. An extensive study of DNA from late Stone Age Britons indicate that the ancestors of the people that built Stonehenge followed a long migratory route along the Mediterranean, starting in Turkey. Where did they come from to go to Turkey though? Donnie? Any ideas? I know Donnie will have an idea. Seeding along the way knowledge of megalithic building. Furthermore, the researchers believe that the distant travellers from present-day Turkey likely were the ones who introduced agriculture and farming to the people of Britain thousands of years ago. And I've brought this up umpteen times before. It says there they do not reach from Scotland to Turkey. They've got Snopes on it. There you go. I believe they do. Going underground, the massive European network of Stone Age tunnels that weaves from Scotland to Turkey, and the other way, Turkey to Scotland. Evidence of tunnels have been found under hundreds of Neolithic settlements. That so many tunnels have survived after 12,000 years. Boom. 12,000 years. Yeah?
You know, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Exactly. It's almost as if, you know, there was something really, really significant happening 12,000 years ago. And when you look at these tunnels, check that out. Could it be that they knew there was a cataclysm coming and did they go underground? Could they have stayed underground throughout Europe in these tunnels? I don't know. I'm not telling you they did. I'm just encouraging you to think about it. Now, Polly, I really hope that you're wrong, Polly. Dr. Richard Allen Miller passed. I do know that in the past couple of days, RDS, Robert David Steele, not a fan of the guy, but he's a human, so I'm not going to talk badly about him. I talked badly about him when he was alive, but I don't disrespect people like that. He passed the other day. A lot of people talking about that. Oh, damn, dude. Damn. I'm going to have to go and check then. Polly, where did you get that from, man? Not that I'm doubting you, dude. Please don't think I'm doubting you or anything. It's just, I'm quite shocked. In fact, I'm going to put on some music. Give me a moment. I'm going to see if I can check this out. Bear with us, folks. Bear with us. Okay, I can't find anything on a very cursory kind of quick check there. Some of my most interesting radio shows have come with that, man. Oh. Damn. I hope you're wrong, dude. I don't mean that. You know what I mean, Polly. Okay. Let's get back to it. Damn. We lost a good one if he has gone. That's all I can say. Anywho, right. Coffee. So, perhaps one of the most fascinating telltale signs that back up the theory of Gobekli Tepe, got that bit. An extensive study of DNA from late Stone Age Britons indicate that the ancestors of the people that built Stonehenge followed a long migratory route along the Mediterranean. We've done that. And furthermore, the researchers believe that the distant travellers from present-day Turkey, right, were the ones who introduced agriculture and farming to the people of Britain thousands of years ago. If you type his name on YouTube, hang on. He was posting on Facebook on the 18th of August. He's thinking of somebody else. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's another Dr. Richard Miller here. Maybe this one. Okay. So hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully the doc is still with us. And you know what? Time to get the doc back on the show, whatever happens. So it says an artist's treasure trove. In addition to the massive stones weighing 10, 20, and even 50 tons, the variety of fauna described, the lions and the wild boars, to birds and insects, make a single explanation problematic. However, the symbols at Gobekli Tepe attest to a society. Sorry, folks, got a message there. A society well versed in symbolism and art. A series of smaller stone artifacts, statues, and items raise more questions than answers, and the mixture of artifacts found at Gobekli Tepe cannot be attributed to one period or another, given its rich diversity. So, built by hunter-gatherers and abandoned by hunter-gatherers? Question mark? Exactly. And that's big question mark. Building a site of such complexity in around 13,000 years ago is mind-boggling, to say the least. It took a great effort to build the site and maintain it. Göbekli Tepe's size suggests that it was of great importance to the people that constructed it. So why was it buried around 8000 BC? If it was built by hunter-gatherers, as mainstream scholars suggest, wouldn't these nomadic people just abandon it and move on? Building such a site required massive effort, but burying it in its entirety was an even greater achievement. This raises another important question. Why was it buried? We are unable to answer this question today, but perhaps further excavations of the site will reveal more clues that will help us understand Göbekli Tepe's downfall. I've always wondered, if it was almost like some kind of, for lack of a better term, a school, a teaching, almost to teach a record of some of the animals. I don't know, it's weird. I don't think it was just strictly a temple like we're told. I think there was a lot more going on there than meets the eye. But again, I don't know. So it says Göbekli Tepe, a central site with many others. Perhaps what most supports the theory that the builders of Göbekli Tepe were part of an ancient civilization is the existence of many other similar, albeit smaller sites. One such example is a site called Nevali Kori, and this site is particularly interesting because of its presence, or the presence, of a series of figurines that were fired at temperatures between 500 and 600 Celsius. It was here where archaeologists also discovered the oldest domesticated einkorn wheat. Their existence provides conclusive evidence of the development of ceramic firing technology predating the advent of pottery. And the similarity between the monuments at Göbekli Tepe and Nevali Kori, we'll check that in a minute. Come back here. Undoubtedly suggests that the builders were part of the same civilization. Strata at the site suggests human presence over 12,000 years ago. So to conclude this article, Our limited understanding of Göbekli Tepe raises more questions for archaeologists. Hang on now. There we go. Hey, Scotty is locked and loaded. Hang on now. Just give Scotty the link. We'll see Scotty in the chat room momentarily, I would believe. There you go. Love that guy. Absolutely love him to bits. So it says, what adds to the mystery? In fact, we'll start this again. Our limited understanding of Göbekli Tepe raises more questions for archaeologists than it offers answers. Hey, welcome to our world. How often do we talk about that, right? It was because we had questions. We were inquisitive to begin with that we went down the rabbit holes, right? And as opposed to answering our questions as we tumble down the various rabbit holes, what do we pick up? We're like a rolling stone gathering, not moss, more bloody questions. It's just one question after another, right? We have no idea how hunter-gatherers were able to build, increase and maintain this considerable complexity in pre-Neolithic social conditions. And what adds to the mystery is the fact that we are able or we are unable to read and accurately interpret the pictograms of the site. So we don't know what the animal reliefs and other symbols meant to the people that erected the site. I believe that the builders of Göbekli, oh, I like that, Göbekli Tepe, it's Göbekli Tepe, were no ordinary hunter-gatherers, and no shit Sherlock, but part of a complex society that has since been forgotten and lost in the annals of history. There is conclusive evidence that Anatolia, as well as the regions in present-day Syria, were home to complex societies during a time when mainstream experts tell us they were none. So who was wrong? Who's wrong there? Göbekli Tepe wrong, or do you think the experts might be wrong? I think it's the experts, but hey. Maybe it's time to reanalyze our origins and rewrite our history books. And listen, in a small, very microcosmic way, that's what we're trying to do here, isn't it? We bring on guests that can talk about alternative histories, perhaps truer history than what we're taught in school. And we are trying to get back to our origins. We are trying to piece together this bigger story. And that is why I will keep coming back and chipping away at all these old blocks, 12,000 years old blocks, 24,000-year-old blocks. And another thing I'll throw in there, they talk about the circles at Göbekli Tepe, and we'll take a quick look at some of the pictures. Just get up here. I didn't realise time was marching on that much. But we'll take a look at some of the pictures of the site here. But you see the circles, right? Now, when I look at this one here, and I'll bring it up here. Now, I'm not... Listen, before I say this, do not think I am going completely mad. Do not think I am going completely mad. But we see a lot of circles. And I wonder if Plato, when he was talking about Atlantis, and he talked about concentric circles and this highly advanced civilization that was there one minute, gone the next. I wonder if this plays into it. I don't honestly lean towards that, but it's something I considered at one point when I look at the pictures. It's hard to get away from the concentric circles, and if we think this is only 5%, and it's 20 times bigger, what happens if it's surrounded by 2 concentric circles? And what happens if we find out at one point that was surrounded by water as well? I don't know. I'm just saying, it's all thinking aloud, folks. I am a pseudoscientist, which means I am an expert in absolutely nothing. There you go. There you go. It's as simple as that. It is what it is. But these pictures of this place, I don't know. It's likes of that. They are very artistic. I get that, but check that out. I mean, look at that. That's That's pretty magnificent, to say the least, right? And this is before we even take a look. Cinemonk says a remnant of Atlantis, possibly. I, I, I could, I could go there as an idea. Maybe, I think Atlantis was a global civilization. Maybe they did have a capital, Atlantis. I don't know, but I think it had many different places, many locations around the world. And you think, we have to take into consideration that global travel was a thing of the past. I know we say that these people were, we came out of Africa, hunter gatherers, grunting, all that kind of stuff, right? But we can look at the DNA studies from tribes in the Amazon. And we've talked about this on the show with Evan and Stephen Strong, how they show that there's DNA in the tribes, in some tribes in the Amazon, that can only come from original people in Australia. How did that happen? Well, because there was global travel, be it ships, whatever, I don't know. But people were getting around. There was an exchange of not only ideas and culture, but DNA was exchanged, as we can see in the DNA evidence today. So what was going on? Who honestly knows? Now, I had a couple of funny stories that we could get to today. But I think I might save them for when we're on with Scott. And don't worry, folks, don't worry. We are live on tfrlive.com. As always, the home of the Kev Baker Show, as it has been for now, get this, 7.5 years. That's how long I've been doing KBS. Can you believe it? 1,555 episodes. 7.5 years. That's fucking mind-boggling. I must be mad, right? What was I even talking about? Oh, yeah. So you can hear us on there. You can hear us on TalkStream Live because they pick up the TFR stream. Just look for TFR on TalkStream. You can also, though, today and every day, get us over in Discord, where we always go live, 720p. You get to watch what we're talking about. And today with Scotty Lopez, it's going to be one of our first simulcasts over to Twitch TV. What? Kev's on Twitch? Yes, Kev is on Twitch. Let me see. Let me get it up here. All you got to do is head to Twitch and look for the Kev Baker Show, and on there you'll find a number of shows now. We've got a number of things up there, the most recent being Freaky Friday. Now, alright, I've got it muted. Doctors, researchers, police officers, nurses, college students, and members of the clergy in investigations. Now, that's like proper order. So, yeah, we'll be over there in just over 25 minutes, but we'll also be on the Discord server. And if you want to join us in Discord, we've got, well, there's a couple of rules, but the main one is just don't be an asshole. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's a very strict kind of rule. I just try to cut down on the amount of idiots we get in there. And I tell you what, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good so far. We've got a good crew in there. Let me get the invite that you need. Copy. There we go. Boom. That's the Discord link. And like I say, today and every other day, the Kev Baker Show on Freaky Friday is on. We'll be simulcasting to Twitch TV. I'm going to start building up the Twitch, so I hope you are ready to make the leap over there from time to time when we talk about stuff over there that we can't really talk about in great detail here. And people like me and today's guest, Scotty, it builds up. We need to have somewhere where we can talk without the algorithm watching and listening. And that's why TFR has always been amazing to me. They've never stopped us talking about anything. My goodness, they even let me go down the road of the Red Dragon ambassador. Remember that lunatic? Yep, you see, free speech radio. It comes with everything. But like I say, we've got no commitments. We've got no ties with Twitch. We're not a partner. We're not an affiliate. We're nothing. And they seem to be pretty decent with other people over there talking about the kind of stuff that we always talk about and always have talked about and always will talk about. Yes, nothing as it seems. The self-declared hellmaster of the douche canoe. The HMS douche canoe, if you please. Yes. Donnie seen a UFO last night. Dang, dude. Like it, like it. So listen, isn't that supposed to be near Gibraltar with all these things that are being found underwater? I would never want to go looking. Why would you never want to go looking? Oh my God, that'd be a dream come true to me to go on one of these underwater sites. One of these submersibles, go down there. Oh, now we're talking, man. Graham Hancock, his underwater work. Oh, jaw dropping. Again, we're talking about a part of the world that is not a stone's throw in global terms from where? Turkey. It's not miles away. In fact, it's not far away at all from that part of the world, right? So it's in the same ballpark. Do I think Gobekli Tepe is Atlantis? Probably not. I think it might be an outpost, a remnant, maybe. But listen, I'm full of more questions than answers, and I wish I could tell you the biggest secrets in the world. I wish I could answer all of these questions that we all have rattling around. But you know me, I provide, you decide. And it's a good day for me if I just know that you lot out there, you people that keep coming back for more, I appreciate you more than I ever let on. But to know that you're thinking for yourself, that's mission accomplished for me. And those old Bakshi says,
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
yes, indeed. I've got a new Bakshi. Will we try the new Bakshi? I sent this to McCairn earlier. I am his official Bakshi handler.
So if we have friends like this, I don't think we need enemies.
Exactly.
Why have you done this, man, to yourself? For God's sake, give us a break.
Absolutely. And on that note, let me take my leave today. Let me remind you how brilliant you are, how awesome you all are. And hopefully, when I press this button, it's going to be our usual going away gift. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Oh, no. Nobody thank me. I'd be doing this anyway, folks. I thank you. Yous are the ones that took the time out to come and watch this, not me. So thank you, okay? Keep it real out there, folks. Oh,
You provide, minds collide, we put our differences aside. PPP stay bright.
Ah, brilliant, Polly. Brilliant. Love it. Should finish that with Don't Be Wide. One more tune before you go? Okay, then. Edit.
last card. The last card would be the extraterrestrial threat.
Hell, I like you.